You guys good? Did they tell you there's a test after this?
What?
Oh boy. Well, Frank, you got that covered, right?
Oh, completely.
All right, cool. Don't worry, it's just an essay question. All right. My name is Neil Sahota. I'm actually the United Nations AI advisor, and I'm here just to talk a little bit about what is AI. So, how many of you guys think AI is cool? How many of you guys think it's something to be afraid of? All right, how many of you guys think that AI is going to play a huge impact in your career? You'd definitely be right. You guys learned about the Industrial Revolution? Oh man, he's going back to history. Well, AI is triggering what they're calling the fourth industrial revolution. Now, out of curiosity, is anybody actually using AI today? What are you guys using?
There's like the cars that drive by themselves.
Yeah, self-driving cars, like a Tesla autopilot. What else? What else are you guys using? Yeah.
Easily using things like search engines to bring up the most accurate results.
Okay, so AI-powered search engines for sure. Anybody else? Yeah, what are you using? Siri. Siri actually doesn't use AI. That's why it's kind of not so awesome. But how many people have an Alexa? So there you go. How many people use Pixel or Bixby? Not as love is for Siri, I guess. So there's a lot of AI out there. There's also a lot of hype. Some of the things we say is AI is not really AI. But I want to start off by talking about dogs. Because there's a lot of hype, there's a lot of power as well. Do you notice anything special about this dog? Yeah, it's a guide dog, right? It's a dog for CNI dog. So there's a nonprofit called Guiding Eyes. What they do is they look at young puppies, try and figure out which ones will make good CNI dogs, train the dog, and then try and match it with the person, hoping it works. Their success rate is about 30%. So that's not great unless you're a baseball player. So they came to me and said, hey, can AI help us? I'm like, I have no idea. Dogs? So let's talk about it. And so it turns out there's actually a lot of data on dog psychology. And data is the fuel for AI. And so we talked through it. What we wound up doing is building an AI system that could look at puppies as young as 7 days old, figure out which ones will make good CNI dogs, create an education program for each dog based on the best way that they learn, work with people to train the dog, and then using psychology, psychographic profiling, can map out the 56 personality traits of the dog, all the people that want dogs, map out their psychographic profile, and then do the matchmaking together. What do you think their success rate is now?
High 70%.
Yeah, pretty close. It's about 81% right now, and getting better. Would you imagine that an AI could teach a dog how to be a CNI dog? Most people don't, but this is the power at our fingertips. There's actually a lot of opportunity for you guys to unlock these types of things and not just accelerate your careers, but make a huge impact on the world. So, given that, I get a lot of people ask me, like, can AI create? Can it create art? Can it imagine? Well, a good friend of mine created an AI named Benjamin that can write screenplays. So I'm going to play you a little clip about Benjamin and the screenplay he wrote called Sunspring, which is actually made. So bear with me. There's no sound.
I got you.
You gonna enjoy this nice advertisement? Is ready to sound ready?
All right, you can't tell me that.
Yeah, I'm just coming to that thing.
I don't want to be honest with you. You don't have to be a doctor. I'm not sure. I don't know what you're talking about. I just wanted to tell you that I was much better than he did. I had to stop him. I didn't want to hurt him. Sorry, I don't like him. I don't love it.
What do you guys think? Can a machine create art?
Yes.
Yes. No. We get a maybe and we have all the possible bases covered. So machines can create art, but they can't be creative or imagine, right? How is it that Benjamin could write a film script? Well, we've learned that there's only 12 types of movies. Every movie fits into one of these 12 boxes. And so what we did, or Ross did, was teach Benjamin those 12 types of movies. Taught it about characters, taught about a dialogue, and let the machine learn, and voila, it wrote the short film called Sunspray. So it's an original screenplay. It's not like just copying things, but it's not like you can just imagine new forms of art, or new forms of dialogue, or a new form of movie. So whatever we can commoditize, we can teach the machine. But we have other AI out there that have done sculptures, that are actually creating music, original music. There's actually an AI that can paint, and its first painting sold for $436,000. So machines can do things that we didn't really anticipate, but they can't think for themselves, at least not yet. They can't be creative. So it's probably a good idea for me to pause for a second and just kind of level set. What is AI then? Right? What is all this thing that people always talk about? Well, AI is essentially a machine that mimics human thinking. We don't really program it, right? It learns through its knowledge, observation, and experience, much like we do. And an AI really can do three things that a standard computer can't do. The first is it has machine learning. So we give it lots and lots of data, which is the feel for AI, and we give it something we call a ground truth. And ground truth are the rules on how to make decisions, not the decisions themselves. And so as it goes through all this information we're giving it, it's looking for different patterns and different things in there to try and figure out what's going on. And it uses these rules to try and do that. Then it tries to do things. So we ask it to try and do stuff. It gives us answers. We have people working with the machine to say, yes, that's right, or no, that's wrong, or you missed this, so that it learns. The thing is, though, that machines learn really, really fast. How many of you guys have ever played the game Go? A couple of people. How easy is it to learn the game?
Not very easy.
Not very easy, yeah. It's considered one of the most complex, challenging games that people have ever invented. So the guys at DeepMind said, could we create a machine that can play this game, right? It's a game based off intuition and feeling. And you can't just use brute force. Like in chess, for every move you make, there's 100 subsequent moves, then 100 subsequent moves. Well, in Go, for every move, there's over 100,000 moves. Then there's over 100,000 moves after that. There's not enough computing power on this planet to figure out all those paths. So DeepMind said, can we have an AI play this game based on feeling and intuition? So they gave it the rule book for the game as the ground truth. And then they hadn't watched 10,000 hours of people playing the game. So that's how it learned through observation. Then they say, okay, AlphaGo, play yourself 1 million times. So it took AlphaGo 7 days to do that. Then they entered it into the Go Championship, where it played against the Go champion, the human Go champion is considered the best in the century. 6 games. AlphaGo won 4, lost 1 draw. Right? People were blown away. Even the DeepMind guys thought they would be able to beat the AlphaGo, or would be the Go champion until 2022. They did in 2016. But then they started thinking, did we corrupt AlphaGo? Did we teach it bad things when we trained it? Right? And so they created a new machine called AlphaGo Zero. Again, they gave it the rule book, ground truth, but this time instead of having to watch human people play, they said, okay, AlphaGo Zero, go play yourself like 10 million times. So it never saw a human being play. It played itself, learned different strategies. Then they had to play AlphaGo. So AlphaGo Zero versus AlphaGo 100 matches. What do you think happened? Yeah, AlphaGo Zero won 100-0. What they learned was by having AlphaGo watch humans play, it actually learned some bad habits or limited its possible strategies based on what it saw people doing. So they had to, by stripping out that bias, they created a machine that conceived of whole new strategies that no one had ever thought of before. They took it one step further and said, AlphaGo Zero, why don't you try playing chess? Here's the rule book, just figure it out, right? So AlphaGo looked at the real rule book, played with itself when playing chess, and then they entered it into the machine league. So there's a machine league for chess, and said your goal is to become a grandmaster. So from the time they gave it the rule book and from the time it became a grandmaster, how long do you think it took?
A few seconds.
Not a few seconds.
A few hours.
Yeah, few hours, 4 hours to be exact. That's how fast machines can learn. Think about that. You know nothing about this. You never even heard this game chess, and you go from knowing 0 to being the greatest player in the universe in 4 hours. That's the power of machine learning. That's the power of AI. The second thing is that it has the ability to understand natural language. Think about how we talk, how much slang, idiom, jargon we actually use. You guys have ever heard your parents go like, what in the world are you saying? Right? If I said to a computer that I'm feeling blue because it's raining cats and dogs, what does the computer think?
You're feeling a color because it's raining live animals.
Yeah, I'm physically the color blue because small animals are falling from the sky? That does not compute, right? But AI doesn't look at literal words. It doesn't look at keywords. It tries to draw context and meaning from the conversation, from grammatical structure. It understands like, oh, Neil's actually just telling me he's sad because it's raining really hard. That's a huge thing for machines to do. That's a huge leap. And then the third is that we can actually interact with AI like it's another person. We actually have just a conversation. Right? For those of you who have an Alexa, if I said, hey Alexa, turn off the lights, what's it going to do?
Sure, turning off your lights.
Yeah, it's going to turn off the lights. But I'm like, hey Alexa, it's so bright in here. What does Alexa do?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Nothing, right? I don't understand, or I'm not programmed for that, right? It doesn't understand what I'm trying to imply. So with an AI, you can have a conversation. I could say like, hey AI Alexa, sure it's bright in here, and let me go ahead and turn off the lights. I might say, whoa, it's too dark. I'm like, okay, let me raise the lights just 20% or something, right? So have a little back and forth. So that's what AI really is about, these three pieces. And I will say this, that AI is now everywhere. Right, when we did the Jeopardy challenge with IBM Watson, that was 9 years ago. That's how long this AI wave has been around. This AI is everywhere. It's in education, it's in healthcare, finance, sports, media entertainment, legal services. Right? My work with the United Nations, they're constantly talking about creating AI judges. In fact, China is about to release AI arbitrator. They have virtual courtrooms, and it's going to be arbitrated by an AI, so they can do 10,000 cases at the exact same time. That's the world we live in. Now, we always talk about fun stuff, dogs, video games, all this kind of stuff, but what can we do? What can we really do to make, advance medicine, make a big impact, maybe make a lot of money out of all that? I want you to watch this video. There's no sound and it's a little short, but take a look at what this guy is doing and what that robot arm is doing. So what happened? Yeah, think about it. You lose a limb, you can actually get a robot arm and actually control it, right? Our brain still has the ability to transmit signals to our muscles, our tendons, to that stump. Well, we can't decode it, AI actually can. So we can actually restore mobility to those that have actually lost it. You think this is a $1 billion idea? No? Yes? You think people would want something like this?
Yes.
Do you think this would help people in advanced medicine? Yeah, this is the power at our fingertips. This is just one example of what we can actually do with artificial intelligence. So, but this is also our challenge, right? When we think about computers, machines, devices, we think about automation, making something faster, cheaper, less errors. But real value comes from innovation, finding new ways of doing work, new ways of doing these things, right? We look back at this guy. If you just think automation, you would never have thought of that an AI can decode the signals of the muscles and tendons in the brain to control an artificial limb. So if we can think differently, what else can we do? Well, there's an initiative out of Africa called Loving AI. It's not what you think, right? What is the biggest illness in the world? Loneliness, yeah. Well, 40% of the world suffers from moderate to severe degree of loneliness. Well, could AI do anything about this? Well, that's what they're trying to figure out right now. Could you create an AI that's available 24/7 for you to talk to, that would understand your feelings, right? That would show unconditional love. What is unconditional love?
Love without conditions.
Love without conditions, so very circular. Let's expand on that. What does that mean? If you love someone unconditionally, you just give them whatever you want? Yes?
Like your parents, I love it, you said something. We give your son.
That's a good example. No matter how much you mess up, your parents will still love you, right? Well, this is the challenge they actually had, right? Because you have to teach the machine, right, then what is unconditional love? How do you define that? Well, then they start thinking, okay, let's start with something simpler then. What's the difference between unconditional love and love? So what's love? Can anyone define that? And we all kind of know what it is, but to put it in words to teach a machine is difficult, huh? And so what they've actually learned by doing this is a much deeper introspective in what it means to be human. So ironically, by working with machines, we're actually becoming more in touch with our humanity. And so they're right now working, they think they got a working definition of love, unconditional love, but they want to have essentially a companion for people. But they found it's much more challenging to do this because what do these feelings and things mean? Right? How do we make someone feel appreciated, like part of something? Make them feel like they're not lonely anymore. Another example is, a lot of work has been done in healthcare. And so there's been a lot of AI tools out there, but China is definitely leading the way on this one. Last year alone, they invested over 370 billion US dollars into AI technology, a lot in healthcare. I'm going to show you a little use clip about something that they're doing.
At Shenzhen No. 6 People's Hospital, Dr. Cheng Chunsheng is conducting a gastroscopy for a patient. During the procedure, dozens of images are being taken of the esophagus to look for cancer. Esophageal cancer is one of the deadliest cancers in China. Usually, the accuracy of the diagnosis relies on the doctor's personal experience and skill. This is where an AI system becomes quite helpful.
For example, we have 50 images. The AI system will analyze them all and select 5 pictures showing a high possibility of cancer. Then I check the selected images directly to make a final diagnosis. It's faster and more efficient.
The system is called Niyi, developed by Chinese internet giant Tencent. Its database comes from cancer diagnosis information from first-class hospitals in China. Since its trial use began in June 2017, it has served 400,000 patients.
We established a joint program with Tencent to provide necessary data. Now the accuracy of early detection of esophageal cancer has reached 90%, roughly the same level of diagnosis made by human doctors.
This is one of the first hospitals in China to put such an intelligent system under pilot trial for clinical testing. Last November, China announced its plan to build a national platform for AI diagnostic medical imaging. Developers say they are trying to enlarge the system's database and expand its coverage in China.
AI is able to learn from lots of data. That's what humans can't do. We hope the system can reach out to remote areas and grassroots hospitals in China, where patients can get a diagnosis as accurate as in first-class hospitals in big cities.
So far, the system has been used for detection of esophageal and lung cancer, as well as diabetes. It's expected to cover the 10 deadliest cancers in China in the future. 何为为 CGTN 深圳。
What do you guys think of that? Could you imagine that you don't have to worry about going to one of the top hospitals anymore? Any hospital, even in the middle of nowhere, can provide the same high quality healthcare? Has anyone ever had an MRI? I mean, I seriously hope not. Right? One of our challenges with medicine is even when you take some of these tests, it can take days before someone can actually review it and give you the results. Now we can do it in real time. Imagine if you want to be a doctor, right? By the time you graduate from medical school and you do your residency, how different is medicine going to be? A lot, right? The tools, all the stuff, you'll be working with probably an AI assistant to help you figure some of this stuff out. So, huge impact. And healthcare is one of the first areas that embraced AI because they have a lot of data. There's also a lot of need. Right? The world's population as a whole is actually getting older. And so there's more people that we need to take care of. And so there's opportunities all the way from the patient side to the physician side to integrate AI solutions to actually help out. So you heard one of the things that they were talking about, but this is an example of lung cancer. So Kettering Sloan, which is a big healthcare provider in the United States, they built an AI where they can actually detect early stage lung cancer from an X-ray. So a human doctor has about a 50% chance of seeing it. Their AI has a 90% chance of seeing it. So improved quality of care. But it's all not just health. There's a lot of work actually being in agriculture. Out of curiosity, has everyone ever thought of being a farmer? Right, yeah, we got Frank, right? Agriculture, ag tech as they call it, is becoming really widespread. What a farmer can do today is equivalent to the work of 11 farmers 100 years ago. In 10 years, they believe that one farmer can do the work of 100 farmers today. And so even in places like impoverished areas, really rural, third world communities like in Southeast Asia, Bangladesh, India, they're actually now using these AI tools to actually grow more food with less resources. The AI is looking at weather patterns, soil, possible insect infestation, making recommendations like you should plant this crop and move the seeds over 2 millimeters. And by doing that, they've actually seen that they use less topsoil, they use 30% less water, but they've improved crop yields 20 to 25%. All right, with AI tools, we actually now believe we have more than enough resources to feed the entire world. So big step. And then law. People always say, well, there's certain professions that will never be able to use AI, law being a primary one. So I don't know how many of you ever be a lawyer or a judge, but it's actually being used a lot right now in legal operations. Managing case rules, legal research, court filings, discovery, all these things. You know, the big companies right now are Legal Nation, Ebrevia, and Ross. But there's actually something interesting. Legal Nation has created an AI associate lawyer. And it can actually go through discovery information, court documents, actually generate deposition questions, interrogatories, and help actually recommend case strategy. So what normally takes 12 hours of work for a human lawyer, it can do in 2 minutes. And one of their clients, ironically, is Walmart. And so Walmart had a situation where it was a dentist, ironically, where he bought a whole chicken, bit into the gizzard, hit a stone, chipped his tooth. So he sued Walmart for damages. Now, normally Walmart would just pay this person out, not deal with the court fees, legal fees, probably pay like $80,000 or something. Well, it got run through their AI associate lawyer. And one of the things the AI came back and said was, you know what, you have a defense strategy. It's a well-known or material fact that when chickens eat, they eat stones and it gets stored in the gizzard. So by buying the chicken, knowing this material fact and eating the gizzard, the person should have been aware of the risk, and this Walmart should not be liable for damages. Walmart used that defense. Guess what happened? They won, right? They won. Human lawyers are like, how in the world did they know this? Because unless a lawyer grew up as a farmer, they never would have figured that out, right? It was never trained on chickens or gizzards or stones, but it was able to piece this information from a variety of sources to actually uncover that little hidden nugget for Walmart. That's the power AI can bring to law. And of course, I can't forget the other side with judges. One of the passion projects of the United Nations is to actually have robot judges. They want to improve access to justice. They want less corruption. So especially in some of these other countries where you're not really guaranteed of that, they believe by having an impartial robot applying the law properly, people will get more of a fair hearing. So perhaps one day you'll all be standing in front of a robot judge arguing your speeding ticket. Right? This has also opened up some other questions then. If we're going to have more robots out there and they're doing work, do those robots have rights? Do they? A robot's property? Well, this is one of the great debates going out there. Well, this robot over here is named Sophia, right? She looks and acts like a human being. Well, Saudi Arabia granted Sophia citizenship in April of 2018. She has a Saudi Arabian passport. She's entitled to compensation in Saudi Arabia. It was very interesting because they granted this robot citizenship before women even had the right to drive. But now it's asking a whole bunch of questions like, well, if she's considered a person in Saudi Arabia, Does that extend outside of Saudi Arabia? Does she have to be treated a person elsewhere? Does she have to be paid for her work? Does she have health care? The big things that we're trying to actually solve right now. Same thing, if an AI comes up with a patent or invention, does the machine own that? What do you guys think? No? So in the United States, they currently say that if an AI comes up with intellectual property, it belongs to the person who created the AI. However, in Europe, they've actually ruled and awarded patents and other things to the AI itself. Right? So another global problem now where we don't have a consistent approach. So big questions we have to figure out. Now, you're all probably thinking, this sounds pretty good, but you know, I'm not really that great in mathematics or programming or all these other things, right? So what is this going to mean for me? Well, you don't have to be technical to use AI or develop good ideas or products or solutions using the technology. Most people think that AI is 100% coding. It is not, right? It's actually data. Right, that's the fuel for AI. You have the data, do some experimenting, see what you could try and do. You have to have the right domain knowledge. You want to advance healthcare with AI? You need to be a doctor, a nurse, a clinician, a researcher, not a fantastic programmer. Right? And then there's a little bit of coding around the user experience. So if you want to get started with AI, if you're wondering how this might impact you in the future, focus on whatever problem you want to solve. You want to restore mobility to someone that lost a limb. You want to help improve the ability of people to get seeing eye dogs. You want to look for biomarkers. You want to help farmers grow more food. Think about the problem. Think about the data that you have. You have the data. Is it good data? You don't have the data. Can you get the data? And then the training. At the end of the day, everything is based on people teaching the machine. Computers don't learn on their own. They don't have that desire. They can only do what we teach them. And that's what we always underscore, that the machine will only learn as fast as we teach it. But to do this, we do have to think a bit differently, right? Because machines think differently than we do. So it's a different mindset. But think about ocean stewardship, for example, right? This is called SnotBot. Hashtag SnotBot, done by Ocean Health Alliance, right? They want to observe the local ocean health ecosystems and figure out how healthy are the oceans, plant life, sea life, all this kind of stuff. Well, AI and drones can do something that we can't do as people, right? What they've learned is they have this drone follow whale pods, and when a whale essentially blows its nose, the drone swoops in, there's little petri dishes on it, it collects the whale mucus. The AI then analyzes the whale mucus because it's got water, crustaceans, kelp, algae, all these things, assembles all this data and gives us a picture of the local ocean health. That's not something we could do with whale snot, but drones and AI can. These self-driving cars, right? I don't know how many people are planning to learn how to drive or are driving, but what sense do we use the most when we drive? Eyes, right? Our eyes. And so when we first started creating self-driving cars, guess what we relied on? Visual camera data, right? And then one day there was a guy in his Tesla, was busy watching Harry Potter, so he had the autopilot on. And 300 yards in front of the car was a big truck that wiped out. The truck bed was blocking the freeway. The Tesla never stopped. Kept going, ripped the top out of the car, killed the driver. Everyone's like, whoa, how on earth did this happen? Well, the truck bed was white and it was a cloudy day. And so the truck bed blended into the background, so the cameras never picked it up. Was there a better way for the car to drive? It had to use radar, LiDAR, even auditory. Never would have happened, would have stopped. But because we don't drive that way, we initially didn't think of that. Today it's different. Today we're using all these different sensors. We're using sensors in the road, traffic lights, all these things. The car about to make a blind left turn, actually knows what's exactly beyond that turn before it can see it. So again, this is us leveraging the different capabilities and power of the machine. So that is just a quick intro and a snippet of what's possible. We'll obviously dive more into some cooler things, what you guys can actually do, and what this is going to mean for your careers, the future of work, in future sessions. But while there's a lot of fear and concern, there's a lot of opportunity for you guys, right? This is not about machines replacing people. It's about people and machines working together to create new things. So with that, I'm not sure if we have time for questions or not, but I'm happy to take maybe one or two quick ones. They're either on Instagram or I totally blew their minds.
Yeah, I put all that stuff away.
All right.
So take a couple minute, we're gonna take a couple minute break. I'm gonna get the next one set up and we'll go ahead and dive into that. Oh, you did?
How would the advent of new epic CPUs affect the availability of AI research for smaller companies?
So your question is, how is the new CPUs affecting the availability of AI for companies or for people? Either or. One of the big challenges that we have is computing power, right? We have lots and lots of data, but we don't have enough computing power to process it. So how many of you guys are familiar with TED or TEDx talks? So TED actually uses IBM Watson for searches. So Watson has watched every TEDx talk. And if you're looking for a particular subject, Watson can take you to the exact snippet in the video that you care about the most. So people have said, this is awesome, why don't we do that for YouTube? Right? How many videos are on YouTube? Billions, right? With thousands getting uploaded every day. We don't have enough computing power to do that. And so it's gone beyond even CPUs. We need quantum computing now to actually be able to process this data for AI. So until we make that infrastructure leap, we're kind of stuck with how far we can go. So that's why there's a great race for quantum computers.
All right.
All right, thank you.
We'll get the next one set up. Would you have the clicker? This is the tough part, meeting was.
Yeah, I know. If you hit the red.
Is it the red yet?
The red one, yeah. So I'll close mine and it'll pop up. So hit the green one. So it's like.
You on? Is it on? We good? All right, I'm going to go ahead and dive in. One of the things that Neil was talking about when he talked about AI, and I'm going to be talking about cybersecurity, and we'll go through a few things, but AI is actually extremely important for cybersecurity. And in cybersecurity, a lot of times, if you use like McAfee or some of those other things, what they're doing is they're actually matching patterns. They match patterns. So if there's a virus out there, and I'll get to the main discussion in a second. If there's a virus out there, there's a pattern that says this is a virus that's going to attack your system. And what they use AI for, it's